What is going on, guys? So I'm making this video to show you guys where I'm at with wiring this car up. After ripping out all the factory wiring for the LeMans and ripping out all the 2000 Camaro wiring I had in the LeMans, basically starting fresh front to back. I just want to show you guys what I've done so far before I start hiding stuff, and I want to show you what I got myself into being a novice automotive wiring guy. I don't know much about it, so it's taken me, I know the basics when it comes to automotive wiring. So to tackle a project like this was a little overwhelming at first, and it's still a little overwhelming, but luckily, being a 68 LeMans, the wiring is somewhat basic. I don't have to worry about all the sensors and electronics and everything that modern day cars have. So it should be the easiest kind of car to wire, but I have to take my time with this because I'm not an expert. I'll show you what I'm doing. So I just want to show you guys some of the stuff that I'm using. And in the trunk here, trunk lid's blocking all the light. I've got my positive post in the floor. That way it's the most secure way to run battery power. I'm still using grommets because these are expensive, and this is fine. So I've got a rubber grommet in the floor, and that's the cable coming right from the battery over here. So it's going to come off the battery through the floor, hits my kill switch. See back in there, it comes out of the floor. Comes out of the floor, hits the kill switch, from the kill switch up to that post. And then the post I can feed. I've got a little fuse block back here for all of my relays for the air ride. And I've got this cable. This is my battery cable, or sorry, this is a starter. This is going straight up to the starter. And I've also, when I got the stereo back here, I'm going to run the power off of there for the amps and stuff. So I thought the post would be a good idea. That's like a distribution point for everything I've got going on back here. And then I'm still using my speaker cable. I think it's 4 gauge. Yeah, it's 4 gauge. That'll be my ground. I've been using it for the last 5-6 years. As long as I've had the LS swap done, I've been using power cables. You know, there's the old one on the floor to run everything, power and ground, and it's been working fine. So I'm going to continue to use the one because new battery cable is expensive. But I bought one new run. Up here, I ran another grommet through the floor. There's my battery cable, because I ran the battery cable on top of the floor throughout the car. And that's just going down to the starter. Inside the car, you'll see there's my power and ground coming through under the carpet. There's my power going through the floor with a grommet. And then on my tunnel, I've got a few more grommets going on. Now the big guy in the middle, that's a 2-inch Firewall Grommet that I bought. Those things are about 20 bucks. And I figured that would be a good one for the Terminator X harness, because all these little fingers spread open. You see that? They all spread open. So I should be able to shove quite a bit through there. I wanted to go a fairly large hole, just because of the plugs and stuff that are on the ends of the harness. I have to be able to shove all those through. So I got those going on. And those rubber grommets that I've got for the power cable, they're actually not Firewall Grommets. What they are these guys. I picked up some Pcv Valve Grommets, and this is actually for a Toyota. But these guys fit really nice. Like I'm using like this is 2 gauge. This is 2 gauge battery cable. And that slid into there. That slid into there like nice and tight. All you gotta do is wet this or soap it or spit on it or whatever. And she slides right through and it's a nice tight fit. So these are fairly inexpensive. Then I picked up some of these guys. It was like 10 bucks for a pack of 5 of these guys. And that's 1.5 inches. That gives you 1.5 inch hole. You have to drill a 1 3/4 hole, right? Just use your 1 3/4 inch hole saw. Drill a hole in these 1.5 inches. These will give you 1.5 inches of space. And I used one of them right down here. Come underneath, you can see it better. So this used to be a big square for the old harness used to come through a big square right here, and that was for the lights and fan and everything. So I made a little steel plate and blocked that off, and I have a smaller hole now. And I just put a bunch of slits in it, just like that 2-inch grommet. So I'll run those wires out and up along inside the fender. And that brings us over to what I got going on in here. So this is the body harness that I bought, and it's supposed to be for an A-body 69 GTO. And this steering column I picked up is for a 69 GTO, so I'm going back to a factory steering column. And just dealing with this stuff, this kit is okay. This kit was about 250 bucks, and a lot of the wiring is labeled. Like, you'll see some fine print on these cables, like on, sorry, these wires. You know, it says like low beam, if you can see it there, heater. A lot of the wires are labeled, which is nice. A lot of them are not. And this kit doesn't come with a wiring diagram. It doesn't come with all the ends on anything, right? So you gotta take your time, figure it out. And one issue I had was the steering column under here. I had to put new ends on both the steering column wires and the harness wires, and that's for like the signals and four-way flashers, stuff like that. And the issue I had was the steering column has a plug like this on it, okay? And the harness I bought has a bunch of wires like this. Well, it doesn't fit. This end is too wide to fit on that. So it just spreads, the plastic in between spreads these apart, and it doesn't make contact. I don't know why they have these, because it doesn't work. It doesn't work. This 1969 replacement harness doesn't work with the 69 steering column. I don't know if I'm missing something. Like I said, I'm not a pro at this. So I cut them off, crimped on new plug ends. Had to look online for wiring diagrams. That's what I printed off here. Trace wires back, check labeling, check colors, and I was able to figure out what goes to what. I went through and deleted a lot of the fuses for stuff I know I don't need. You know, because basically in the end, all I'm utilizing from the factory harness, like the body harness, is my lights and you know, wiper motor, horn, stuff like that. I don't need any of the ignition, and you know, this factory harness has a choke cable and coil cable. I don't need any of that stuff, so I'm deleting some of the stuff in this. You know, it even tells you on here, you know, choke fan power. I don't have to worry about fan power because the Terminator X, I believe, is supposed to control your fans for you. So yeah, I'm just going through this and like methodically and trying to figure it out. So getting to my point, I have learned a lot by doing this. So I would say that with automotive wiring being my weaker strength when it comes to working on cars, this has forced me to really sit down and methodically think out how everything is supposed to work and go through diagram after diagram after diagram. Even my light switch, I had to get a 69 light switch. It's got a dimmer, and I had to get a high beam switch, the one that mounts on the floor. There's no plugs for any of those, so I have to figure out which pin goes to what wire. I have to figure that all out. So I've had to download a whole bunch of different diagrams for everything and go through, sometimes tracing wires back that aren't labeled, and figure out where this came from, what it's for. So it's forced me to understand automotive wiring much more than I already do. So on the plus side, I'm going to come out after this project knowing a lot more about how everything works. Downside is it's taken me a while to get there. So this video is just an update showing you where I'm at. I am working on the car. I've been just coming in here every night after work, you know, when the kids aren't around, and picking away for it a couple hours here and there. And I hope to have this done in the next couple days. So then I can get to wiring up the Terminator X that I have in that box there. I'm hoping that goes a lot more quick and easy, because I hear that they are much easier once I get all this other stuff out of the way. But that's where I'm at. Hope to get to the next video filming the Terminator X very shortly. But for now, I guess you just gotta leave me to it. Give me a couple days and we'll be back at this with something a little bit more fun. Till next time.